Have you ever felt it, that strange shift when everything seems to be going well, when love feels close, and then suddenly, things change? The avoidant doesn't pull you closer, they don't celebrate the connection, instead they begin to test you. Not with obvious questions, not with direct words, but through subtle actions designed to measure your strength. At first you might not even realize what's happening. A late reply here, a cancelled plan there, a cold remark that stings more than it should. You wonder, why are they acting like this now, just when things seem to be going right? And that's the paradox. Avoidants often begin to test you precisely at the moment they want you most. When they feel the pull of intimacy, when the thought of keeping you in their life grows real, their fear grows just as strong. So instead of saying, "I want you," they create distance. Instead of admitting, "You matter to me," they build small obstacles. They want to know, will you chase me? Will you break? Will you prove to me that you're safe? Or will you abandon me like they've always feared? These aren't random behaviors, they're not accidents, they're deliberate patterns, unconscious, but powerful. For the avoidant, testing you is a way of protecting themselves from what they fear most: rejection, dependence, vulnerability. But here's the twist. These tests are not really about your weakness, they're about their fear, and how you respond, not with panic, not with desperation, but with calm strength, can change everything. Because when tests begin, they reveal far more about the avoidant's heart than they ever intended. And in this video we're going to uncover exactly how avoidants test you, why they do it, and most importantly, how you can respond in a way that protects your power and changes the game forever. Now let's look at what this shift really means, the hidden patterns of how avoidants begin to test you. The testing patterns. If the hook was about the moment you feel the shift, this part is about why that shift happens and the hidden ways avoidants begin to test you. When avoidants want to keep you in their life, they rarely say it directly. Instead, their fear of closeness translates into subtle behaviors that look like disrespect, indifference, or confusion. To them, these are not just habits, they are tests. Each action carries a question: can I trust you? Will you hurt me? Or will you prove that I'm safe even when I push you away? The first pattern is silence. They pull back suddenly, not because they've lost interest, but to see how you react. Will you flood their phone with messages? Will you beg for reassurance? To them, your reaction is information, a test of your emotional stability. The second pattern is cancellation. Plans you thought were important are suddenly brushed aside. It's not about the dinner or the date, it's about observing how you handle disappointment. Do you explode with anger, or can you hold your ground without losing dignity? The third is dismissiveness. You share something vulnerable, and they laugh it off, or call you too sensitive. This is their way of protecting themselves, but underneath they're watching. Will you collapse under rejection, or stand steady in your truth? Another powerful pattern is inconsistency. One moment warm, the next moment cold. This push and pull is not random, it's a survival tactic. They want to know if your love can withstand the storm they create, or if you'll abandon them at the first sign of chaos. And finally, control through distance. They might make unilateral decisions, keep you guessing, or act like you're replaceable. Not because you don't matter, but because you matter so much, it terrifies them. Testing you becomes their shield, their way of ensuring you won't consume them. Here's the truth. These patterns aren't about you being unworthy, they're about the avoidant's fear of losing themselves or being rejected. Their tests may look like rejection, but in reality, they're signs of desire, proof that they want you close, but don't yet know how to let you in. But the real question is, when these tests appear, how do you respond without losing your power? How to respond with strength. Every test an avoidant throws at you has one hidden purpose: to see if you'll break. The silence, the cancellations, the dismissiveness, all of it is designed to provoke a reaction. Because the moment you lose your balance, the avoidant feels justified in their fear. See, I knew I couldn't trust closeness, but here's where your power begins. The way to pass these tests is not through chasing, convincing, or proving. It's through calm, consistent strength. When the avoidant withdraws, your instinct may be to run after them. Don't. Instead, let the silence breathe, hold your center. This doesn't mean ignoring them, it means refusing to panic. By staying steady, you show them something they have never seen before: closeness without chaos. When they cancel plans or act unpredictable, resist the urge to lecture or explode. A simple, calm boundary is far more powerful. I value consistency. If you want to be here, be here. If not, I'll move forward on my own. These words don't come from anger, but from self-respect. And that's what shakes their strategy. Dismissiveness is another trap. When they brush off your feelings, don't collapse or beg to be heard. Instead, ground yourself in truth. My feelings are valid, even if you don't acknowledge them. This subtle shift protects your worth, while exposing the limits of their defense. Consistency is your superpower. Avoidants thrive on inconsistency because it keeps them in control. But when you remain calm, loving and steady, without chasing or collapsing, their game stops working. The very walls they built to protect themselves start closing in, forcing them to confront the truth. They can't break you, and they can't control you. This is the rise of what I call the super empath. Someone who loves deeply but refuses to sacrifice their dignity. Someone who understands the avoidance fear without letting it dictate their own worth. The super empath doesn't play the avoidance game. Instead, they create a new one where respect, clarity, and self-love are the rules. Passing the avoidance tests doesn't mean winning their approval. It means standing so firm in your own power that their fear loses its grip, and in that moment, the balance of control shifts. You are no longer the one being tested. You are the one setting the terms. But the real question is, when these tests appear, how do you respond without losing your power? The internal collapse. Every avoidant believes they are in control when the testing begins. At first it looks simple, even clever. They delay a reply just to see if you'll get anxious. They cancel plans to measure how much you'll tolerate. They throw subtle sarcasm, a cold remark, a distant glance, all designed to push you just enough to test if you will stay. In their mind, this is strength. If I test you, I'll know if you're safe. If you don't break, maybe I can let you closer. Each late response, each dismissive word, each moment of withdrawal is meant to be a gauge, a way to protect themselves from the thing they fear most: rejection. They believe testing you keeps them safe, but here's the paradox they never see coming. Every test has a hidden timer. Push someone too far, and the test no longer exposes their partner's weakness. It exposes the avoidant's own fear, because when you refuse to chase, when you calmly hold your boundaries, when you show patience without losing your self-respect, the power of their tests begins to collapse. Suddenly, the late replies don't create panic. The cancelled plans don't spark desperate texts. The dismissive words don't shatter your confidence. And in that moment, the avoidant is faced with a reality they never prepared for. Their entire strategy stops working. This is where the collapse begins. The shield they thought was protecting them becomes a mirror. The distance they created to prove their independence becomes proof of their own loneliness. The sarcasm they used to mask their fear only reveals their emptiness. It doesn't happen with noise or drama. It happens quietly, in the stillness of their own mind. The avoidant begins to realize their sense of control was never real. It depended on you reacting, you chasing, you breaking down. Without that, they are left face to face with the truth. The game was never about your weakness, it was about their fear. And in that terrifying clarity, the structure of their defense cracks. The very tests they used to measure your strength have now measured theirs, and they come up short. And it's this calm strength that triggers the turning point, the moment when the avoidant's entire strategy starts to collapse. Thriving beyond the tests. When the dust of the testing settles, one truth becomes clear: the real measure was never about how much you could bend for the avoidant, it was about how firmly you could stand for yourself. Because every test they set before you, the silence, the sarcasm, the cancellations, the emotional distance, was never proof that you were unworthy. It was proof that they were terrified. They weren't testing your weakness, they were exposing their own fear. And this is where your transformation begins. Instead of collapsing under their pressure, you rise above it. You learn to answer coldness with calm, not chaos. You respond to disrespect with boundaries, not begging. You stop chasing the approval they dangle like a prize, and you reclaim the truth: your worth was never up for negotiation. This is thriving beyond the tests. Because here the avoidance patterns lose their grip. The late replies no longer control your mood. The cancelled plans no longer ruin your peace. The subtle dismissals no longer convince you that you're not enough. In this sanctuary you shift the balance of power. The avoidant may continue to test, but the tests no longer define you. They only reveal the strength you already carry. And whether they recognize that strength or not, you walk forward with it, unshaken, untouchable. The ultimate resolution is not proving to them that you're worthy, it's knowing deep within yourself that you always were. So what happens next when their game no longer works the way they expected? And this is where the story ends, not with you defeated by their tests, but with you stronger because of them. Every challenge, every moment of distance, every subtle pushback only proved one thing: you were always more powerful than the game. The avoidant may test, they may retreat, they may try to measure your patience again and again, but the truth is, their tests reveal more about them than they ever reveal about you. Their fear doesn't define your worth, their silence doesn't erase your value, their hesitation doesn't limit your future. So ask yourself, will you keep shrinking under the weight of someone else's tests, or will you rise above them, knowing your dignity is non-negotiable? The choice has always been yours. If this message spoke to you, let us know in the comments with one word: strength, because together we are building a space where self-worth is not questioned, but celebrated. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more insights, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. You deserve love that feels safe, respect that feels real, and a bond that doesn't test your spirit but honors it.